Welcome to Vinyl Happy Hour. I am Skylar Davis, owner of Culture Shock Clothing and Records here in Rockford, Illinois. And I'm happy to bring you our weekly Vinyl Happy Hour video where we kind of showcase 5 of the top releases or special releases for the week. And I hate to say it, but Tool has done something that's going to make me talk about them again. So to make up for that, because I'm a big Tool fan and I know how some people feel about Tool, I've got a really cool, rare, vintage used commodity record with something special I want to show off as the final showcase here for our quick little episode. But let's jump right in because there are so many special releases and so many interesting things getting released every week. It's always a tough pick. So I've got some special color vinyl indie store exclusives to talk about and some reissues of some classics like the special packaging here on Paul McCartney 1, 2, and 3. So this special box set and the records I'm going to talk about are available on our website at cultureshockshop.com. There is a link to the staff picks where you can find these records in the description below the video too if you want a direct link to that. But Paul McCartney, for Beatles fans, I wanted to bring up something that more people are familiar with too, not just obscure titles and different things like that. Although I do have some kind of interesting things to talk about. Paul McCartney albums 1, 2, and 3, his eponymous debut, number 2, and then his most recent album, Paul McCartney 3, is all in this really cool box set. So you can see that I actually already thought about like making my own box set to get all of his albums together. As far as the Beatles go, I think Paul McCartney is very accessible and all of his music, you know, a lot of it even to me has like this jangly pop and power pop feel right up to his 3rd album. Let's just show off really quick. Let's go all the way back to Paul McCartney 1 though. So that was his first album. So these are considered to be audiophile reissues as well. So they're probably half-speed mastered from original recordings. So they are they're doing a limited edition 3-disc 180-gram vinyl, and you get 3 8x10 photo prints with introductions from Paul. So besides the 3 albums, all on 180-gram, nice thick vinyl audiophile pressings, nice glossy gatefold jackets too. So all these are gatefold presentations. But let's check out these cool photos. So this one actually pairs up with the first album, so Paul McCartney 1, and it's got a little description from him on the back too, talking about after the Beatles how he wasn't sure if he should go on with music or not, and the answer was yes. Of course, he got some recording equipment and made his own albums. And then you've got this one, which actually pairs with Paul McCartney 2. So there's a nice little inscription from Paul and a little autograph on there too, lithograph print. And then he's got one to go with his most recent album, Paul McCartney 3, which was more of like his Lockdown, his 2020 era album. It's cool to see him come back and see this being done in box sets. I'm a box set freak, so I'm pretty interested in this, and I actually like a lot of Paul McCartney's work. I'm a big Beatles fan, actually. I don't usually talk about it or bring it up. Everyone seems to have their own opinions on the Beatles, but say what you want. Solo members, now that's a whole other thing. I'm not going to even get into some of the solo members stuff because that brings up another conversation. But I love the packaging on this, and it's cool to get Paul McCartney 1, 2, and 3 all together. Oh, let me get a little sweet drink of this Bardstown Fusion Series. Really cool blended bourbon. They actually have a little breakdown of all the different whiskeys that went in to make this. So I was happy to pick this up. This is Fusion Series number 7, I think. I tasted that at a nice restaurant a while back. So good. Had to get a bottle myself. Here's a strange fella. Let's get into Oliver Tree. I actually really love this guy. This is his newest album, Cowboy Tears. You might know him from his crazy bowl cut and crazy outfits and stuff that he does. He started out kind of almost like acting like a rapper. This is an indie store exclusive on yellow vinyl. I don't even know how to explain this music. You just really need to go check out Oliver Tree because it's electronic, it's weird, it's melodic, it's got some of it is like almost like an emo rap electronic thing. I don't know if that sounds like a bad description, but there's definitely like this really vibrant power pop thing going to it also. Like, I swear to God, I keep hearing, what do I keep hearing? Like Built to Spill and even sometimes some Blink-182 stuff in some of these songs. This is his like technically 2nd album. He had an EP, I think, but like we'll just call it like his 3rd album. He is known, Oliver Tree is known to do some really wild stuff, wild stunts, wild videos, and he has this crazy look. And he's often had a lot of beefs with other artists or with his record labels, and he claimed he's going to get out of the music business, and this was supposed to be his country album, and there are a couple of country elements, I guess, in a way, but it's not a country album, really. It's not a cowboy album. It's not more electronic, just a really fun character, really interesting person, and the music happens to be really good. So check out this indie store exclusive of Oliver Tree Cowboy Tears. We have several available too, so you can choose in-store pickup or shipping if you want to pick it up on our site. But I highly recommend checking out some of these interesting artists like this. Here's another new release from an old-time favorite band of mine, Murder by Death. Don't let the name fool you, because Murder by Death is actually a very multi-instrumental band with like a cello player and everything like that mixed in, and the vocalist has a very deep, like old school kick and country feel. This is a very dark, lush, folky country album, but this is the first time they've experimented with a little bit of electronics kind of going in the background of some of the music, which gives it this kind of dreamy, spacey feel. Murder by Death, this is Spellbound, but it's spell /bound, so I don't know if I'm supposed to call it Spell and Bound or just Spellbound, but I'll just call it Spellbound. This is their 9th album. Of course, with a name like that, I originally thought it was going to be like a hardcore band or something like that, but no, this is like, it gives you that like eerie vibes of like an old Southwest, dark country album or an old Western thing, even maybe some Johnny Cash or something like that. But with their own spin on it and lots of like different multi-instrumentals kind of mixed in, not just guitar and drums. There's definitely some string arrangement and even electronics on this. Such a great album, just a great listen from beginning to end. Just a single LP, perfect length of an album. They haven't done anything wrong yet. And I think over 20 years this band's been together. When I saw them, it was really strange. They really set the mood. I think they opened for like The Bled or As I Lay Dying or somebody. They actually opened for metal band, but they were like, I thought they were like a Christian, like instrumental band, but then they sang a little too. Very strange. It set the mood for a hardcore show, but now I've seen them more on their regular live shows and headlining shows. Great live band too. Just a really good, authentic feel. It's their own music and they sound great. And this is like Coke Bottle Green, they're calling it. I think this is an indie store exclusive. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it is though. So this next one definitely is an indie store exclusive also. Really interesting packaging and release from this. This is the group Health, and this is Disco 4. They're a very hard to explain band also. A lot of fusion, like the fusion of different whiskeys in here. Lots of fusions of different sounds. This is an indie store exclusive, with remixes from different bands on part 1 and part 2. They're calling it Disco 4. So you could buy part 1 separately, but it comes in this really cool double LP. You get part 1 and part 2 in this slip jacket or whatever you want to call it. So it's like an embossed slip jacket, and it shows you've got both albums. Does it show who works on them? Yeah, it does. So no, it doesn't. Sorry. So this is funny because there's so many bands working together with them. There's Poppy. There's 9 Inch Nails. Oh my God. So many bands I just learned about too. Perturbator's on there too, another kind of really electronic artist. 100 Gex, Ghostbane. So this is mostly an electronic band, even dubby, washed out rave beats mixed with industrial music. But there's a couple of the remixes and things done with different bands that give it more of a metal feel. Did they even do something with Soccer Mommy, I think? Yeah, there's Soccer Mommy, Youth Code. I mean, it's just so many different artists on here. The Soft Moon, JPEG Mafia. So there's some hip hop, Zuzu, No Life. Of course, the 9 Inch Nails one alone is enough to get me or a lot of people interested in getting it. So they're on this other disc. But each one comes in its own regular jacket. So if you pull it out of the slipcase, you do have 2 separate albums inside. There's your part 1, there's your part 2, and they're both on white colored vinyl. This one too, I think this is going to turn on some people to some different artists too, because Lamb of God, The Body, I mean, just the amount of bands. Perturbator is actually on there twice with 2 different songs. So cool to hear this being done. Some of it's very dreamy and shoegazy, but Health's been around for quite a while too, doing a lot of electronic industrial albums. But the artwork is very dark on their albums too. I really like that look to it. This is an indie store exclusive. It's like a special edition double LP package, so you can actually get both albums together in this special package set. You can buy at least part 1 individually, maybe part 2 also. I forgot. I would think you can, but so that's Health Disco 4. They're calling this the Generations Edition, so you'll see the link below for that too. All right, now we've got to talk about Tool. So they They had not been streaming for years. They finally went streaming their music online a little while ago, a couple years ago, and they hadn't put out a new album in, I don't remember how many years, 12 years or something like that. And then they finally came out with Fear Innoculum, and they didn't have it on vinyl, just CD, special packaging. Then they put this out on like a 5 LP box set. That was the only way to get this album on vinyl, was to buy the 5 LP box set, which I recommend you do, because Tool is a very, as you can see, a very visual band. So the album cover came with a little sticker on it, but you've got the members on the inside and just this really kind of creepy, dark visual that goes along with this whole album. Very intricate proggy metal band. Just, they've been doing a lot of long, epic songs for years now, and they were off the market for a long time. We weren't sure if they were even going to put out an album. They rumored it. But now, months after putting out that 5 LP box set with a crazy booklet, they put this out as a triple LP gatefold. The music's long enough to take up 5 sides of the record. So one side is blank. But they stretched that out on 5 albums for this elaborate box set for Fear Innoculum, which is still available too. But if you want something like a little more stripped down, without all the artwork, without the bound booklet and photos and stuff like that, you can get this as like a regular triple gatefold now. It's still very elaborate. It's also obviously a lot less expensive. So if you just want the music, this is probably the way to go. But I had to mention that Tool, Fear Innoculum, the regular version, or the most regular version you're going to get of the album, is available. All right, now I promised I'm going to talk about this really strange album. We've been getting a lot of used record collections and all kinds of great used things. This is a strange thing. If the Bomb Falls, what will you do if the bomb falls? JFK warns of danger. So this is like a piece of history from the Cold War and World War II fallout era and all this other stuff going on with war, threats of war and threats of nuclear bombs. I have seen this album a couple of times, but I have never seen the civil defense preparedness wallet card that came with this record. This is so scary to read about, that this was a real record that people could buy, back in the 60s. So if a steady blast of the warning horn goes off of 3 to 5 minutes, that means that attack is probable. To take action as directed by your local government. If the warning tones go off of short blast for 3 minutes, that means attack is imminent. Take cover immediately in best available shelter. And then it talks about like what to do if you're in a building, in a car. This was your card you're supposed to carry with you so you could know what was happening if nuclear bomb were dropped. Like, it's so scary to think that this was a real record. So I just had to show off this really interesting little piece of history. All types of records were made, Obviously, we do lots of rock, jazz, soul, and other things, but in the soundtracks and odd and interesting records, you'll find things like that. And now it's really cool to see these indie store exclusives, or things that come out with posters and things like that. There's so many details to the packaging and so many other records that came out this week that we just don't have time to get to. We want to keep this concise. So please follow our social media, Culture Shock Clothing and Records on Facebook. If you want to get a little more of some of the new releases that are coming out, our used records are in-store only still. So for locals here in Northern Illinois, you can come check through all those. But our new vinyl and pre-orders for upcoming releases are on our website, available anywhere in the 48 states. So please keep following. Of course, subscribe to this channel and give us a like or comment on some of the stuff you like or some ideas you have for future videos. We will see you soon. Cheers.